everyone. Thank you again for joining us for another edition of our Add-On Office Hours. My name is Matthew. We have Keith and Justin, as well as some other members of our team here today to help out. And we're going to just go over some ground rules just to get started. As always, this is to talk about our add-ons for Quickbase. We're happy to answer any question you may have. Just to keep things orderly, if you could just use the reaction and raise your hand just to get started. That will help us make sure we get to everyone's questions and make sure no one gets missed. All of these meetings are recorded and they're brought to our help site and put on YouTube. So you could always come back and review a certain section. Justin does an excellent job of time stamping these so you can jump to a certain part and that usually works out great. So we do have a topic for today, and today's topic is a pretty popular one. It's EFP configurators for Exact Forms Plus. But before we jump into these, I want to give some time to our clients, as we always try to do, open forum, and see if anyone has any particular questions about any of our add-ons. Does not need to be Exact Forms Plus. Yep, the floor is yours if you have something pressing.
Hi, Matt. Mike Manchester from Devereaux here. I had a quick question that I think I reached out to you via email. Thank you very much for sending me these office hours. These are incredibly helpful. I was hoping to just copy over a button that we use that you did a great job helping us set up last year to make invoices and just do a click for invoices. And I wanted to just see how to copy it from one app in Quickbase to another.
So that's a great question. I think the best way to do that would be to go to the Juiced Cloud and actually recreate that button in the new application. So I'll just share my screen again for a second. If you haven't been in the Juiced Cloud in a while, you can actually jump in and go to our help site or our website, and then go to Juiced Cloud and go to login. And I'll just log into my Builder account for right now. And when you log in, it'll already jump to your account, but you'll have Exact Forms Plus active here. And when you click into that tile, you're going to have an option right here to authorize a new application. And when you click on that, it's just going to ask for some information. First off, the user token that you want to have used, that needs to be assigned to the application that you would like to use. If you have questions on that, we have a ton of help site information as well as previous office hour information. But if you continue to click through this, you'll then pick the application that you're looking for. And the last one is just going to ask for the table. So you mentioned invoices. You would just pick the invoices table most likely, or whichever table you would like to generate these from. Once you do finish that and hit finish, the buttons will be in the new table that you're looking for.
Oh, it's that easy.
Yep. The only thing
wow.
is, depending on what you're looking to do, you may need to recreate your document template, because unless the app is an exact copy, the field IDs in that document template might be different. And we do have a full walkthrough on previous office hours, which can also be found right from our website. So when you hit Choose Technologies and go to Add-On Office Hours, it'll jump right to previous recordings. I believe that once you have those buttons, though, it's pretty self-explanatory from there, and it will be very, very similar to your existing setup.
Okay, I never registered apparently, so I'm going to go through and do that, and then follow your instructions.
Okay.
So that I get my account in here, and I'll log in, and then. Matt, is this recording made available to the attendees, or is this just for your internal Juiced? Okay, great.
It'll be for everyone. You'll find them on YouTube. So if I went into our first one, you could open up the YouTube video right here and you could watch it. So if you have any questions about logging in, definitely let me know.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thanks for the question.
Hey, Mike, you could have done it the way you were talking about, where you can copy the button and then copy the code and paste it, but our wizards make it that much easier, so you don't have to change the parameters as much as you would if you copied it and duplicated it. So the wizard basically sets everything up for you, And then you might just have to change maybe the template ID that you want to use, and then really focus on working on your template itself, because that's really the hard part. Hard part is
Yeah.
getting that template to be exactly what you want it to be. We tried to make it easy by setting the app up for you, and then you just focus on the template.
And I have a consultant who's going to do all that. She worked with Matt and I last year. So I just got to get her access back into this cloud really. And then I'll show her the instructions on this posted to YouTube, and then we'll go from there. So that, Keith, thank you very much. That's great.
Good.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for the question, Michael.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to head out and start working on it. I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
Bye-bye.
Jennifer, I see you patiently waiting with your hand raised. So you are next.
All right, thank you. I could use some help with Exact Forms Plus and the add files parameter. I know we talked a little bit last week about a way that I could maybe pull all of my child records in, and I think I actually got that figured out by using a summary field and using the combined text. But the problem is I couldn't get that to work. So I tried to simplify it and to just go back and specifically tell it just a single record ID that I wanted. And I can't get that to work either. So there's something that I'm not doing right. I'm trying to pull an attachment from a child table. So I'm wondering if you can give me some assistance, and it hopefully is just something very simple that I'm missing, but so far I haven't gotten it.
Right. So, just I'll share my screen. I'm sure Keith will jump in as well. I would assume, Jennifer, that you added the add files parameter to your button.
Yes.
And since it's coming from a child table, you would have had to reference another table as it is here with
Right.
the record ID. So I believe where the problem probably is coming in play is with that record ID.
Okay.
Because the second one is the file attachment field.
Right.
I'd like to pull over, so I would assume you'll have that correct. But
Well,
the
do I have to reference that file attachment field in the C list anywhere? Because it's in the child table, so I assume I don't put it in the document template table. And then I do have a subtable, linked to that document template. So do I have to do anything in the C list for that?
I don't believe so, because it's
No.
Okay.
table.
No, you don't, because really, it has nothing to do with the subtable at that point. It's just really, you're trying to pull another file into the full document that gets generated. So you just got to include the DB ID of the table that house has the file in it, colon record ID for the record that you want to go grab from that table, and then colon file attachment field ID.
Okay. I thought that's what I had, but I must not have something right.
Yeah, because this second number here, I believe, is going to be the file attachment field that you're pulling the file from.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a file attachment field, right? It's not a link to some other field, or it's not a lookup field. It's got to be a physical file attachment field that's stored in that table that you referenced.
And I thought there was another way to find the DB ID, but I can just go to that child table and I can just get it up there from the address bar, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's what I have done. And I'm going to look at my field right now.
And the file that's stored in that file attachment field must be a PDF as well. So
and it is most of the
Okay.
time. I have a bunch of JPEGs, but I'm this particular one. And we kind of talked about that last time as to whether it would ignore it if it was not a PDF. But again, I'm just trying it directly, and I just cannot get it to work. So I don't know if you want to see what I have or not.
I
you
think
can
that
share
might be
your screen
helpful.
if you want.
Yeah, let me unshare mine.
All right. All right, so this is my attachments file right here, or work order attachments. And you can see right here, I have one of my attachments is a PDF, and my record ID is the record ID 28. And then here is my database ID up here. And that attachment field is field ID number 6.
Mhm.
So if we go into, and I did, in this case, I did copy because I discovered that when you have the add files parameter, it doesn't automatically open up the PDF. It just tells you that it's generated it. And so I kind of wanted to have 2 separate buttons. So this is my button here that I have for doing.
Yeah,
the
you don't
file-
have, right away, you don't have an ampersand in front of add files. That's your problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's what these are for, right?
Yes, well, and all of this here, doing this URL stuff is very, very new to me. So it's
That should
easy for
work.
me to miss that kind of thing.
Understandable.
Okay, so this is my record right here that has oh, well, this time it did. Did I click on the right button? Oh, and I can tell it did because I have
There you
3
go.
pages. Okay,
Like magic.
awesome. So if what I really want to do is, like I say, I created this field that has that, then I should be able to get my ampersand in there, but is that the correct, or will I need to URL encode that?
No, I don't know what add files looks like, so I'd have to look at
Well,
that.
I can show you what add files looks like. It looks like this right here. I haven't finished it to pick up all of them,
Yeah, that's fine.
but
You can use that.
okay. So will I need to URL encode that, or can I?
No.
Okay. So then I should be able to just go in and use that statement right there and have it pick up the multiple ones. Okay.
Yeah.
I will give that a try then. I think that is, I just needed that little bit of here's what you're doing wrong.
Just that quick hint.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right. So 2 good questions. We have plenty of time for more questions. If anyone has something that they would like to ask, this is your time, open forum. And if not,
Hey, Matt,
Yep.
it's Francesco. I got a quick question for you.
okay.
User tokens, if somebody is leaving the company and they are the ones that set up the tables,
Mhm.
we can just send you an email with a new user token and you can replace it.
That is absolutely correct. Them creating tables and them owning the user token on our end might be 2 different things though. If the user token is assigned to that user and we have it on our end, we can change it very quickly. You just need to provide us that new user token. We can give you a secure link too, where you can upload that if you don't feel comfortable doing it over an email.
Yes, sir. Yep, that's all I have.
All right, good question. Thanks for asking.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? If not, we do have our topic of the week, and I know Keith is dying to show everyone the configurator. So I'm going to pass it off to him and allow him to get started on that. And Keith, are you going to show the new beta version?
Yes.
Very cool. So you guys are in for a little early access treat here because we have a new beta version of this coming out, and this is going to be first look.
You guys can see my screen, right, Matt?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so this is my app. I have an application that's already set up to use Exact Forms Plus that obviously has our document templates and subtables. So assuming your application is set up to use Exact Forms Plus, we're going to talk about our Exact Forms Plus configurator. So when you go to your document templates table and there's a record in there after you do the setup, you should see these two buttons more like and for accessing the configurator. You'll also see another button over here. I have some extra ones because I have a beta version, so you won't see those, but you'll see this one, and you'll probably see this one once you have a record in your subtable. If you don't have a record in your subtable, you won't see that. The real main difference between these buttons is this one here is going to help you select the fields that need to appear in the master section of your template. Master section, what I mean by that is it's the section that's coming from, in this case, the estimates table. Down here is where I'm going to have subtable data, so that's going to come from my items table. But master data is up here, and child data or related data is going to be down in here in the subtable section. So if you'll notice, I have ~6, ~20, ~14, ~3, and you'll notice in the background in the C list, you'll see those same field IDs right here. Now, you don't have to use the configurator to enter or update your C list. So if you know you need a new field in your document template, like in this case, if I need to add another field in the PO section, I don't know if I'm going to put like ~22. I'm just guessing it's probably not the right one. But if I knew that was the field ID, then all I would have to do is come back here and I can just enter .22 if I wanted to. That's the quick and easy way. Or if you don't want to do it that way, you can use the configurator. And this will actually tell me the PO. This again is pulling up all the data from my estimates, all the fields from my estimates table. And if I sort it by field ID, I'm sure I have a PO at the end. There's my PO number. So it's 45. You notice the C list is here as well. When I check off this field 45, it puts 45 in the C list. When I hit apply changes and hit close, this will refresh and you'll see 45 in there. So there's two ways to fill your C list. You can manually do it quickly by editing the record and entering a dot numeric value. It's got to be numeric value. Don't put commas because we do have customers that go in there and just decide, hey, I'm going to use commas. That doesn't work. So it's got to be dot notated, and you just have to have a valid field ID. What I do recommend, what I've seen other people do is someone will just go in here and just go through and go 1.2.3.4 and then go all the way through to 100 because they don't want to have to come back in and select fields at a later time. I don't recommend you do that. I do recommend that you select valid field IDs. It helps us pull in the exact fields you want in the document template and nothing more. So that's one way to do this. And another way to do it is, well, one other thing I want to point out is when you're doing subtables, you're going to use this add document subtable. Now, when you're in here, you can also add a subtable from here by going to the configurations and clicking add new subtable configuration. A lot of times people don't do that. I see a lot of people just use this to just select your master data. You won't be able to change the table either because we don't want you to change the table. So if it's set up for the estimates already, you don't want to change it to another table. But again, you're going to choose your master data here. You can add a subtable configuration here, or you can come here and add a subtable configuration here. And what does that mean? Well, in my template, I might want to have more than just master data, obviously. I want to have my estimate details, and I want it to be in this section here. So in order to do that, I need to get the data from my line items table. So again, if I go to my estimates table, and I pull up one of my estimates, I have all of these items. So I want my output document to almost look like that. So I want to have my parent information over here, and I want my item data here. So in order to do that, I'm going to need to use the subtable configurator to select the fields I need. So I would just go in here and click add new subtable. One thing I want to make sure you don't do as well is the document subtables. It does come with a default button up here, add new subtable button. Don't use that either because all that's going to do is going to add a blank field, a record in this table. That's not how we populate the document subtables table. So you can hide that button if you want, but a lot of times by default, it's not hidden. So I just wanted to point that out, that don't use the new document subtable button in the upper right. When you want to add a subtable configuration, you got to do it from here. So basically, when you click on the add new subtable or document subtable, we load the screen and we give you a drop down to let you see all of the tables in the application that you might want to choose to show item data. So in my case, line items. I'm just going to give it a name and just call it line item test. This means nothing, so you can put whatever you want in there. This is obviously important because it's the table that you want the data to come from. If you go next, it's going to take you to the filter criteria. We pre-populate this based on the relationship, if one exists, between the tables. I know I have an estimate to line items relationship, so we pre-populate that. Now, a lot of times you don't have to do anything more than that. If you just want to pull up all of the line items associated with an estimate and nothing more, you can leave that alone. However, let's say you want to make a little bit more of an advanced query. You can say, well, I only want to pull items where the status is equal to the value, a static value of, let's say, in stock. Because I know I have a field called item status that has a value of in stock. If I do that, that's the way to create a more complex query or filter query. We don't support ORs just yet. So if you need to use ORs, so in other words, if you want to say, well, where the related estimate or item status is in stock, you really have to do that through a field in Quickbase on your table. And that's a little bit more advanced. So I won't go too far into that yet. So this is all ands. If you need to do ORs, you would create another field in your table and you would put your complex logic in there. And then you would come in here and basically say, well, where that complex field is true or false. That's the best way to do that. So moving on here. So I'm going to choose all of the line items from my line items table that's related to the estimate. And now here's the columns that I want to see. So I'm not sure what columns I want to show. So if I go back to my estimate and pull up the configurator again over here, maybe I want to show my item, and you can sort these, you can filter them. But all you need to do is check off the columns in the list that in the items table that you want to show. So in this case, I want to show item. And when you click it, it doesn't disappear. If you scroll back up, it's up there. Okay, so I'm going to choose that. I'm just going to choose the item. Maybe I'm going to choose quantity. And you know what? I should have chose quantity first. Well, I'm just going to move it up. So now quantities first. And I won't choose anything else, but because I have some pre-configured ones. But what you could do is you can now change the width. So quantity, 50 pixels is good because this is in pixels. 72 pixels is about an inch, just to give you some reference point. Item is usually a little bit longer, so maybe I'm going to throw, maybe I want that to be 125. And I'm going to hit save changes. Every time you make a change in here, or when you click the event settings, you want to hit save changes. And you know what? I'm not going to do anything further. I just want to clear out because I want to show you what happens in Quickbase. So after we're done with that quick setup, and I go to my document subtables table, you're going to see a new record. The line item test record was created. These configuration parameters are really what we just selected when we were in that configurator. And you don't need to know what this means, but in the olden days, before we had the configurators, you had to hand type that out, which you don't have to do now. But you can always go back in and make your changes. So the one important thing to note that is this says st_rate equals 3. And that's an important piece because what we want to do is we want to go back to our document template. And I'm going to put in tilde st_rid equals 3 tilde. And really what that says is go to the subtable record ID number 3 and go gather the data based on those parameter settings that are there. So once I put st_rid equals 3 in there and I hit save on this, I'm going to upload that into my document templates table. I only have one document template right now, so I'm just going to upload my newly changed document. And now when I go to my estimates and I click on my generate EFP document, we should see a document generated with just 2 columns in it. There's the quantity and there's the item. So those are the 2 columns that I selected when I was in the configurator. Okay, so I'm going to go back to a different one that I created. So I'm going to go back to my templates table. And you know what? I'll just upload a new one. I'm going to change this to be stred equals 1. And I'm going to re-upload that one. So I'm just changing the subtable configuration because I had one pre-configured prior to the meeting. So now this one now is pointing to stred equals 1. So the next time I click my estimates, I'm going to get a different subtable look. And all I really did was I selected a couple more columns. But that's great. So here I selected 4 different columns in the configurator, and I chose the fields I want. But you know what? I want to dress it up a little bit more because I want to make it look a little bit fancier. Maybe I want a subtotal. Maybe I want to do a couple custom things here to these columns. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to my document template, and I'm going to look for stred equals 1 because that's the one I'm messing with here. And I'm going to, instead of clicking this one, I'm going to click the beta version of our configurator because we have a couple new things that we want to show in there. So when I click on this button associated to this stred, it's going to preload that configuration with all the columns that were already selected. Here I could change the filter criteria if I want. I could choose additional fields, but more importantly, I can modify some of these. So I can change the width if I want that column to be a little bit wider or shorter. I could do that. If I don't like the word quantity and I don't want to change the field name in Quickbase, I can quickly go over here and just say I want it to say QTY instead of quantity. And that will change the header only in the output document. It's not going to change the field name in Quickbase. But I also want to go to the advanced settings. I want to take a look at what's available to me there. Okay, so this is what you're going to see that's new. We have a new thing called column header properties. So in the past, you can never control the header for meaning font size, justification, bold, italicize, and so on. You can always do that to the data, but you can never do that to the header. You will be able to do that once we release the beta version. So I can say, all right, I'm just going to mess around here. I'm going to right justify this. I'm going to bold and italicize. I'm going to change the font to be Arial, and I'm going to make it a bigger size. So I'm going to make it a little silly. I'm going to make it 19. I'm going to leave the data alone because I still want the data to be the default setting. So I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to hit apply changes. And I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to close out because I want to regenerate that document and just see those changes that I made. So now what we're going to see is the quantity is going to change to be QTY, but the column header label. But also look, I changed it to be Arial, bold, and italicized. The other column headers are still the same. So you can control them individually, just like you can control the data individually. And that's something that's new. It's not available in the existing configurator, but this is going to be something new that we're releasing. So you got to see that. One other thing that we've released as well, or we're going to be releasing, is let's say I want to alternate the row shading. So I want to, there's a field that lives in the items table. I'm going to show that first. So in the items table, there's a field, I added a field called row color. And what I'm basically doing is I'm looking at the status of each item. And I'm saying, well, if it's out of stock, I want to show red. If it's back ordered, I want to show orange. If it's low stock, yellow. And if it's in stock, I can use an HTML color as well. So I don't have to use these hard-coded colors. You can use HTML colors. So basically what that's saying is I want to colorize each row based on a field here. And so really what this is called is dynamic row coloring for your child data. So if I go back to the configurator, if we go to a new setting here, you can see that we already used to do row shading, and we also allowed you to do alternate row shading, but this is something new here. We're going to say dynamic row shading. So now I'm going to choose that field on the items table called row color, and I'm going to save that. All right, so the next time I run and generate this document, you're gonna get a different view here. So looks a little like Candyland, but just to try to show you the point is we're not just allowing you to alternate row shade. You don't have to shade them all the same color. You can dynamically colorize each one of those rows. So that's something new. Now, the other thing we want to do, so the two new things is you can control the headers and you can dynamically control the colors of each row. But what I want to show now is some advanced features that you have today with the configurator. And one of them might be, maybe I want to sum that total. So it's great that I can show each individual line item, but maybe I want to show a subtotal there. So let's close that. Let's go back into our configurator. So I'm going to go to my document template. I'm going to go to STRID1, which is this one. I'm going to click on the configurator and let's subtotal that last column. So I'm going to go right to the subtotal fields. The item total is one that I want to subtotal. Now, if you're not grouping, you can just simply grand total or subtotal, either one, doesn't matter. It's only going to show one total. So I'm going to apply that. Now, the other thing you can do is and also hit save changes. But what I also want to do is maybe I want to include the word total in one of the columns. So the column right next to the one that I'm totaling is the description column. So when I come over to my subtotal and grouping, sorting and grouping, I want to display in the description column the word total. And I only want to do that on a total limit. And you know what? Maybe I want to give it a little bit of shading. I'll give it a little bit of pink shading. And I'm just going to click next and hit save. So now the next time I generate that document, we're going to see a total line and we're going to see some shading involved there. See, there's my total line. It totaled up everything. It's shaded pink. And the word total appears in the description field. So that might be one of the confusing things is when you're in the configurator, you might not know where to actually put the total. So I go back into the configurator and I go to sorting and grouping. This drop down here is basically saying in the description column, show the word total. Okay. You can also choose display a field from the table and it'll so that could be a dynamic label, if you will. So you would choose a field from the actual table itself. But for this point, we're just showing static. But also, if I want to add a subtotal, because maybe I want to group, because maybe I want to group by that status. So let's come back up here and let's say, all right, I want to actually group by another field. So I'm going to group by the item status, and I want to left justify that group. Maybe I want to put a little bit of color in there. Let's use maybe a shade of teal. That's fine. I can also change the font size of that. Maybe let's make that a little bit bigger. And let's bold it as well. Okay.
Hey Keith, did that grab? I don't know if that color grabbed for.
Oh, how to color? Maybe it did. Oh, I didn't hit apply. Okay. Thanks, Matt. And I can also control the font color too. So if I wanted something darker to be in there, I could do that. But the default is black anyway, so we'll leave that alone. But I also want to show do a subtotal, and I'm going to subtotal in the same column in the description column. I'm going to put the word sub. So now the next time I'm going to just hit next and hit save. And now the next time we generate this document, it's going to look a lot different. So I should have some grouping involved, and I should have a subtotal as well as a total. Okay, so I'm grouping by this one item here had nothing in the item status. That's why it's blank. But I have back ordered, I have in stock, I have low stock, I have out of stock, and I have, wait, the subtotal didn't take. Let's just make sure the subtotal, let me go back to that. Just make sure the subtotal, if I didn't save that right. So,
Hey, did you click it in the subtotal field, Keith?
item status. Here's subtotal label options. This let's just make sure that's
But in the subtable fields, didn't you have to check the checkbox for subtotal?
no, it should show up now because I see it in the settings.
Mm.
Let's go back here. Not seeing it there. Oh, I know what you're saying, Matt.
And when the
I
advanced
didn't choose anything to subtotal. Good call. I said I wanted to subtotal stuff, but I never checked off anything to subtotal. There it is, right there. So I had no columns set to subtotal. That's why it didn't subtotal. So now, once I chose my subtotal, now these settings should be picked up. It did have them in there, but I never chose anything to subtotal. So let's do that. There we go. So there's just the word sub. And it's subtotaling each one of these groupings. And then we have a full total at the bottom. Okay, I could have right justified that too if I wanted the sub to show here. I could have done that too. So you have a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do with your formatting of your subtotal data, subtable data. One more thing I want to show. Let's see. Back in here. Oh, what you notice I click this button a lot, so I'm generating a lot of documents. Obviously, we do charge you for usage. So one way to make these changes and do a lot of testing on your own without it costing you money, add a new parameter to your button called test equals and set it to be yes. Okay, when you run an Exact Forms Plus document with test equals yes, we don't charge that against your usage. So but the only difference is when you click the button, it's going to have a watermark. And it won't allow you to create a Word document. It only allows you to create a PDF. And it doesn't save the PDF back to Quickbase. So you basically just get to view it. So test equals yes will allow you to do this messing around. So you can play around with stuff and you can practice a little bit to see what settings might make sense for you and which ones don't. One other thing I wanted to show as well is I wanted to show the varying of a subtable. So
and then just quick, Keith, before you get into that, I just wanted to address Francesco has a question in the chat. So he was just wondering if it's possible to repeat the headers on the second page, third page, so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, they should repeat automatically. So if I had a 2-page document, the headers should come up when the page breaks. They should show up on the second page as well. I don't have enough line items on this. Actually, you know what? A demo. If you took a look at in our demo, let's take a look at that. Take a look at that PDF. No, it wasn't big enough. I think the first one has a lot. Let's see. See? So your header is going to appear on both pages. Does that answer your question, Francesco?
Yes, Keith, is there an option that I have to turn on to have, because I'm not getting the headers on my second, third, and so on page?
No, it should, by default, it should paginate that way. There's nothing you have to turn on to say, I want the headers to appear everywhere, because when we insert, we created a table, a word table in the document, and by default, the headers are set to appear on, on every page.
Got it.
You
I'll,
probably see, you could probably send us a sample of that so we could take a look at it, but they should appear.
will do. Thank you.
Okay. I created one field on my estimates table, and I called it varying subtable. So really, in the case where you have two different configurations and you want to vary which one to use, okay, so in this case, I have a checkbox. And you can have some, you can have a very complicated condition here. And I said, if that checkbox is on, use strid2, otherwise use strid1. So really, again, you can make this however fancy you want or complex you want, but it's one way to say, well, I have two configurations. I want to decide which one I should use. Now, if you look at this field ID, it's field 46. Okay, so if I go back to my Word document, I'm going to actually just add it to my template this way. So instead of actually saying strid equals 1, I'm going to leave that in there so it pulls both of them. I'm just putting in field 46 because that's the field on the estimates table that I want to use for my variability of my my subtable. So I'm just going to save this. I'm going to upload this to my document templates table. 46 is already in here. So if I needed to add 46, I could have just did this, or again, I could have used a configurator. And I'm going to pull my updated template. I'm going to go back to my estimates table. I just want to make sure that I have this set to use a different. All right, so it's going to use, so really what the value of field 46 is really going to translate to be use strid2. So next time I click this button to generate the document, I'm going to have two subtables. I'm going to have the original one that shows all the line items, or not. Let's see what I did wrong here. Let's see what this shows. Just going to take a look at that subtable. HTML text. Fine. Just going to generate a different one. So I got a bug in there. All right, I'm going to have to figure that one out, but I tested this before and it worked. Of course, it's not going to work when you do it live. But in essence, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show how you can use one as opposed to the other when you're talking about strids. I want to make sure that that didn't have anything wonky in it. One, strid2. Tables. All right. Well, I'll have to do another test just to make sure that works well. But was there anything that I showed that was confusing? Is there anything that I didn't show that someone would like me to go a little bit deeper into?
One thing I'll say is it's interesting to see that you got the error to show that, things like that do happen. So you have to review your work always, I guess don't wave the white flag right away.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. So I'm not sure if something happened in the configurator itself because I don't see.
But Keith did just cover a lot. So, if anyone has any questions on what he did cover or anything about Exact Forms Plus, feel free to jump in.
I do have one thing that I wanted to show quick as well. Repeat columns. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to use that before, but it's a pretty neat option. And really what I want to show you is if I change repeat columns to be 2, and in this case, I have 2 columns, and this is strid 3. So I'm going to generate the document and show you what it's actually going to do. I'm just going to change my template to use strid equals 3. So I'm pulling over my document template. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to use template number 3 or subtable configuration number 3. Go back to my template. Change it so now it's going to use number 3. Put in my estimates. Generate a document. Oh boy.
What'd you do, Keith?
Yeah, no, I broke something. I broke something good. Let's take test out of there.
Maybe.
I don't know. Sometimes with testing, maybe that's a little wonky. No. Something got messed up. I messed something up. I don't know what I did.
Yep.
Interesting. So let's do this. Let's get rid of all of this. I'm just changing my template again. I want to make sure that a lot of times you got to try to backtrack and try to eliminate some of the things that you've done. I'm just going to put up a template that has no subtable. Back.
Subtable.
Okay. So let's go back in here. Let's put strid equals 3 in there again. Red equals 3. Back to. Just gonna change the font to be something more readable.
And Jennifer, that's a great comment. And I was going to say the same thing. This is actually really good stuff when it comes to error handling and how to, kind of debug your own issues. Because you're seeing obviously how Keith goes about doing it himself. Clearly there's something wrong with one of the subtables there. So
Seems like all of them. Interesting. Very interesting. And I got strid equals 3 in there. I wonder if I hit my limit. It's a different message that's coming out. I'm in my builder account, and builder accounts can only do a certain number of documents. I wonder if it's a limit because every time I'm clicking, it's getting that error.
he'll let you know. Well, actually, no, because you were able to do it without the subtable.
Yeah, they would zero it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted to show repeats, but that's not working. Any questions while I'm troubleshooting here? Very interesting. All right, well, I need to figure that out. But anyway, that is all I have on the configurator. It's, with errors and all. Sorry about that. Sorry, it wasn't as clean as I wanted it to be, but
We did get a question, Keith.
Mhm.
Christina asked, is there a way to get a summary report link into the form? So
good question. No, not directly with the Quickbase API only allows us to pull table-based data, meaning line item data. It doesn't allow us to do summary type queries in the API. So with that said, the only way to really do summaries is you can do it in a couple of different ways. You can create summaries in your tables and then use those summaries, or you can use the new formula queries that Quickbase has introduced that kind of can sum up data. But no summary reports can be pulled through the Quickbase API, so that's why we're never allowed to do summary type data. But again, with the introduction of formula queries, you could potentially do that. But I just caution you on formula queries because it does cause some performance issues with your application, or it may cause some performance issues with your application. If you have huge tables and you're summing up large data sets, it might not be the best from a performance standpoint. What we do also do is we have another add-on called Excel Docs, and we push a lot of people towards Excel Docs if they have a lot of summary type use cases that they're trying to solve for. So there is another way. It's using a different add-on. So Exact Forms Plus is great for kind of line item or tableized data, not summary data.
Good question. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes, Christina, excellent follow-up. Will Excel Docs go into PDF? Yes, it can go into either an Excel document or a PDF.
Mhm.
Great questions. All right. Will you need to use both? Well, that's really up to you and what you're trying to do per se. Exact Forms Plus works best for customized, Word documents. That doesn't mean you couldn't make an invoice in Excel. You just might have a little bit more trouble customizing it and formatting it. You can use both, of course, but it's not a necessity.
Yeah, if you're looking to create, let's more professional type proposal, contracts, license agreements, and so on, you probably want to use Exact Forms Plus. But if a lot of your output documents are, let's say, invoices, estimates that you don't have to have a lot of, let's say, words in them, then you can get away with using Excel Docs for both your summary type reporting, chart-based reporting, as well as invoices, estimates, and so on. You could get away with just using Excel Docs. You just may have a little bit harder time on your templates, but it can be done.
Anyone else? Questions? I want to send those some reports. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Christina. Good questions. And Christina, I'll follow up with you after the meeting to see if you have any further questions. But at this point, I think we're pretty much wrapped up. There's a lot of newcomers here today, which is awesome. We love to see new faces. So please continue to attend when you have questions. When I end the meeting right now, there's going to be a quick survey. If you guys could fill that out, we'd really appreciate it. But again, thank you guys all for coming, and I hope you guys come again next week. Have a great day.
Thank you.